The Honourable Member for Shortland.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. And Mr Deputy Speaker, on ABC Radio Newcastle recently, Dr Anthony Beale, the lead economist at the Hunter Research Foundation, was asked what were the impacts would be of the government's imminent cuts to Jobkeeper and Jobseeker. Dr Beale responded, well, that's the key question. And that is indeed the key question that the government has to answer and provide an answer to the 17,000 of my constituents on Jobkeeper and the 8,000 on Jobseeker. Fully a quarter of the adults in my electorate are in receipt of one of these payments. And I can give the government some examples from my home region of the impacts their shocking and premature removal of support are already having. I visited Survivors Are Us, an organisation helping combat domestic violence, which is also a food bank, just before Christmas, and then dropped in the week before last to see how things were going. Unfortunately, things are not going well. Survivors Are Us founder Anne Maria Martin reported to me a 200% increase in demand for food parcels after the government's cuts to Jobseeker and Jobkeeper in January. And this is on top of the tripling in demand for their assistance that they saw in September after the first cuts to Jobkeeper and Jobseeker. That's a whopping 600% increase in demand for food assistance and housing assistance in a mere 5 months. Another local food bank, South Lakes Marketplace, reached out to me earlier this week with an update on the assistance they're providing. And on Monday, for example, they provided their free emergency food hampers to a family of 8, a family of 6 and a family of 4. This is people in Australia in 2021 struggling through no fault of their own to put food on their table. And what is the government's response? To make further cuts. I said last year that the government's policy response was premature, and it's not only bad economics, it's sick social policy. And every Liberal and National member of this place should be ashamed in supporting an approach that makes it harder for people to get through life. Anne Maria said, I don't think the government realises how tough people are doing it. And I quote, people are scared. Their mums and dads are wondering how they're going to feed their children. I want to assure Anne Maria and her wonderful team and all the people who volunteer at the food banks in Shortland that myself and my Labor colleagues are very aware of how tough people are doing it and are fighting every day to stop these draconian cuts. I also want to bring attention to the House of the 1 million people who've been excluded from Jobkeeper. I'm sure, like many MPs, I'm regularly contacted by many travel agents whose industry has been decimated and who are struggling to survive. Before Christmas, I met with Brett Dan, the head of Hunter Travel Group. Brett warned just last week that unless there is continuing support for the travel industry, specifically through Jobkeeper, between 85 and 90% of the travel agent industry will be decimated. This is an industry that employs 50,000 people around the country. This is a clear message from every travel agent I've met. There needs to be an extension of Jobkeeper or some targeted support for the tourism industry. The agents always acknowledge and are always grateful for the wage subsidy and tourism support package at the end of the year. But it is not right to be cutting these workers off when the industry is nowhere close to be recovering. And I thank the many travel agents who have contacted and lobbied me and assure them that I've heard their message. I just hope the government does as well. The Treasurer has recently released statistics that suggest that 2/3 of Hunter workers who are receiving Jobkeeper in September are no longer receiving it. While I welcome any new and permanent employment increase, this statistic still highlights the fact that there is at least 1/3 of those people still on Jobkeeper and relying on it dramatically. This is not a statistic that can be cast aside lightly. These are thousands of people in the Hunter region and in Shortland in particular who come the 31st of March, when Jobkeeper ends, will be forced to go on the reduced Jobseeker at a very reduced rate of only $43.57 a day. These are people who mostly have never been without work, who are relying on a government benefit is completely foreign, who will be forced onto one of the lowest income support payments in the OECD. So I urge the government to remember that there are still over 2 million Australians who are out of work or are looking for work. I urge him to be cognizant of the fact that there's seen a 600% increase in food assistance in electorates like mine, that there is dramatic need to support travel agents. There is a dramatic need to recognise that there are millions of Australians still doing it tough, that aren't out of the COVID recession, that are struggling to feed their kids, pay their rent, pay their mortgage payments, and not to abandon them, because that is what this government is doing when it cuts Jobkeeper and cuts Jobseeker come the end of March.